Chosen one, listen closely. This moment is not random. Heaven has interrupted your timeline to remind you. They thought you lost, but God says you finally won. Every whisper behind your back, every mocking voice, every time someone looked at your silence and assumed your surrender. They were wrong. You were not buried. You were planted. You were not forgotten. You were hidden for a higher unveiling. People mistook your quiet for quitting, but heaven knew it was the stillness before resurrection. God often disguises victory in the garments of defeat because only those with eyes of faith can see the truth beneath the ashes. When they thought you were gone, God was working behind the curtain. When they counted you out, heaven was counting down. You have walked through valleys that others wouldn't survive. You have faced storms that left no visible trace of hope. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing, still chosen. Every rejection was a redirection. Every closed door was divine construction. You had to lose what was temporary so you could carry what was eternal. There were nights when your prayers sounded like echoes in an empty room, when it felt like God had gone silent. But silence is not absence, it's alignment. Heaven was arranging what you couldn't yet see, moving puzzle pieces that required time and trust. God never forgot you. He was preparing to reveal you. As the Spirit declares in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." That's not just a verse, it's a verdict. Heaven has ruled in your favor. You didn't survive by chance, you survived by calling. You were carried by grace through seasons designed to destroy you. God stood beside you in rooms where your name was misused, in moments where your worth was questioned. The same God who watched them laugh will let them witness your rise. You were hidden in plain sight, protected from premature exposure. What you thought was isolation was incubation. God hid your potential from those who would have tried to limit it. Every time you were overlooked, it was God shielding what could not yet be touched. Because when He reveals you, no one will be able to deny the evidence of His hand on your life. Your spirit was being trained for triumph. You were being stretched, not punished, refined, not rejected. Heaven wasn't saying no. Heaven was saying not yet, because timing matters more than talent. If you bloom before your season, you burn out before your purpose. But now, the season has shifted. The wait is over. What was private pain is about to become public proof. So, take this in, chosen one. You have not missed your moment. You are standing in it. Every delay was divine preparation for this breath, this very heartbeat, this very revelation. The same people who doubted you will have to witness the manifestation of what they couldn't believe for themselves. Let your heart settle in this truth. Heaven was never late. The road was longer because your destination is greater. You were never meant for small stages. You were never designed to blend in. That's why you were misunderstood, because light will always confuse darkness. But now, that same light will draw nations. And now, as a prophetic act, if this word speaks to your spirit, type 7 and 77 in the comments right now. That's your sign of divine completion, your agreement with heaven's verdict, that you have not lost, you have finally won. Then, like, share, and subscribe, not out of routine, but as a declaration that this message is living proof. Your story isn't over, it's turning. You thought the silence was abandonment, but it was strategy. You thought the stillness meant defeat, but it meant development. Every hidden moment was God sharpening your sword for the battle you didn't know was coming. Now, the season of hiding ends. You step out clothed in favor, covered in strength, crowned in glory. This is the truth heaven wants you to know. Your loss was a disguise. Your pain was prophecy. They thought it was over, but it was only the beginning. The same God who watched you fall is now the one raising you before every watching eye. You are proof that defeat is never final when God is in the story. They thought you lost, but God says you finally won. And as heaven watches, the earth will soon echo your name with awe. The same ashes they mocked will now glow with glory. Rise, chosen one. Your victory is no longer coming. It has arrived. You were not abandoned. You were hidden. The wilderness was not punishment. It was protection. When everything fell silent, when people disappeared, and when doors that once opened suddenly locked, heaven was still fully aware of your every step. God did not exile you. He escorted you into the secret place. It was there that he stripped away distractions, illusions, and dependencies until only your raw spirit remained, unshakable and pure. At first, it felt like exile. You cried out for answers, searching for signs that he was still near. But what you didn't see was that the wilderness is not a place of loss. It's the classroom of the poor. Every whisper of wind, every long night, every hidden season was forming in you something that could never be taught in comfort. You were being refined, shaped by stillness, molded by silence. God takes his strongest soldiers through deserts, not palaces. He leads them into places where applause cannot follow, where validation fades, and where faith must stand alone. You were never being punished. You were being purified. The wilderness is where God replaces noise with knowing, where he burns away everything that cannot go with you into the next level. When Moses fled Egypt, the wilderness became his place of encounter. When Elijah hid by the brook, it became his place of instruction. When Jesus fasted 40 days in the desert, it became his place of preparation. So too with you, chosen one. Your hidden season has purpose. Heaven does its best work in unseen spaces. What looks like silence is often the sound of heaven building. You wondered, why did God pull me away from everything familiar? Because what was familiar could no longer sustain your calling. You outgrew the spaces that held you. God had to remove you before they redefined you. There were environments where your spirit could not expand. So he cut the cords, even when you didn't understand. Every time you reached for something that slipped away, heaven whispered, "You're not losing, you're leaving." Leaving behind who you were to become who you were meant to be. The wilderness is where the false self dies and the true self is born. It's where dependence on people gives way to dependence on presence. As recorded in the book of Hosea, chapter 2, verse 14. Therefore, I am now going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. This is what happened to you. The wilderness wasn't God's rejection. It was his invitation. He brought you there to speak softly to your soul, to reintroduce himself not as a distant king, but as an intimate father. When everyone else stopped listening, heaven began speaking. When you lost everything, you gained the one thing that truly mattered, his voice. That voice taught you patience when the world demanded performance. That voice taught you peace when chaos screamed for your attention. That voice reminded you that silence is not a void. It's a vessel for revelation. The wilderness stripped you of noise so that revelation could have room to grow. And now, because of that hidden time, your spirit knows his tone. You can tell the difference between opportunity and distraction, between noise and direction. That discernment, born in solitude, is your crown. It is why God can now trust you with visibility, because you no longer crave it. Chosen one, your wilderness was not wasted. Every tear watered the soil of your destiny. Every lonely night built endurance. Every unanswered prayer built trust. The wilderness is not where you were forgotten. It's where you were found. The world saw isolation, but heaven saw intimacy. You met God there in ways that no crowd could ever give you. So now, as you step out of the shadows, you carry something rare, the fragrance of someone who has been with God. Your silence has depth. Your words carry weight. Your presence carries peace. Because the wilderness didn't break you, it branded you with heaven's mark. The world will soon see the fruit of your hidden years. They will see wisdom where there once was confusion, calm where there once was fear, strength where there once was trembling. The wilderness is not your ending, it's your unveiling. And as you emerge, remember, you are not coming out empty, you are coming out equipped. You were hidden, but not forgotten. You were isolated, but never alone. You were quiet, but not defeated. Heaven was sculpting something sacred in your stillness. The wilderness was your training ground, your sanctuary, your sacred forge. And now, it is time for what was formed in silence to speak loudly through your life. They walked away. They talked behind your back. They called you strange, too intense, too deep. You tried to explain your heart, but they couldn't hear the frequency you lived on. What you called love, they called weakness. What you called faith, they called foolishness. But God saw it all. Every misunderstanding, every moment, you had to bite your tongue instead of defending yourself. It was divine filtration. The rejection was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you. People weren't leaving because something was wrong with you. They were leaving because your anointing made them uncomfortable. Your spirit carried weight they weren't built to handle. They could stay when you were ordinary, but heaven didn't call you to stay ordinary. As your purpose grew louder, their connection grew weaker. And that's how it was supposed to be. You were praying for alignment, and God answered with separation. That's why some relationships couldn't last. Why doors you thought would stay open suddenly closed. God was not punishing you. He was protecting you from misplaced loyalty. He knew that if certain voices stayed around, they would drown out his own. He had to clear the noise before he could release your next instruction. Sometimes, God removes people not because they are evil, but because their season in your story has expired. You cannot walk into divine destiny dragging expired attachments. So, he let them misunderstand you, so you would let them go. You begged him to keep what he was trying to cut off, and still mercy prevailed, because his plan for you requires freedom, not familiarity. According to the writings of the Apostle Paul in the second letter to the Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. Therefore, come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Touch no unclean thing, and I will receive you. That verse isn't just instruction, it's confirmation. God separated you because you are sacred. He pulled you out of circles that didn't honor your destiny. You are not meant to fit in with those who settle. You are designed to rise among those who seek. The discomfort you felt was heaven's way of saying, you don't belong here anymore. Rejection always feels like loss until revelation arrives. When revelation comes, you see that every ending was a rescue. The people who left couldn't carry your mantle. They were never meant to understand your warfare. God didn't allow their hearts to connect fully with yours because their motives weren't pure enough to handle your mission. And yet, even as they misunderstood you, you kept loving them. That's the mark of someone chosen. You didn't let bitterness take root. You learned to bless and release. You cried and surrendered. You mourned what you lost, but you didn't lose yourself. That is victory disguised as heartbreak. Chosen one. Heaven was using separation to make room for sanctification. It hurt, but it healed you. It emptied your hands so you could carry glory. You had to lose false support to stand fully in divine strength. You had to be left alone so you could learn the voice of God without interference. Now, you carry a deeper compassion, a quieter strength. You no longer chase validation. You walk in revelation. You no longer explain your calling. You live it. The same people who once looked down on you will soon look up to you and say, "How did they rise like that?" And your answer will be simple. God separated me so he could elevate me. So, take a breath. Look back, not with pain, but with gratitude. Every rejection was a beginning. You didn't lose people. You lost limits. You didn't lose comfort. You found calling. And now, because of your obedience to let go, God is preparing to connect you with the right voices, those who will see your light and not compete with it, those who will celebrate your purpose, not fear it. Before you move on, do something symbolic. Type "I'm still here" in the comments, not just as words but as testimony. You survived the separation. You outlasted the silence. You didn't let rejection turn into resentment. You are still here, wiser, purer, stronger, chosen. The fire didn't consume you. It clarified you. The pruning didn't end you. It positioned you. Every cut was a covenant. Every loss a lesson. You are not a victim of rejection. You are a vessel of resurrection. The ones who thought you'd never recover will soon see the undeniable truth. God never left you. He was just preparing your stage. Type "I'm still here." 4 simple words, but they carry the weight of every storm you've survived. When you write them, you're not just commenting. You're testifying. You're declaring to heaven, to the earth, and to every shadow that tried to break you. I am unshaken. I am alive. I am chosen. Each letter becomes a victory cry, a marker of faith that says, I made it through what was meant to end me, and I'm still standing. There came a point when heaven went quiet. You prayed, and the skies seemed sealed. You searched for his presence, but it felt like the wind had left the room. Every familiar rhythm of grace paused, and even the scriptures that once burned within you began to sound distant. You thought maybe you had done something wrong, that perhaps your faith had slipped through your trembling fingers. But silence does not always mean separation. Sometimes, silence is the sound of God working beneath the surface, beyond what your senses can perceive. There is a sacred mystery in the quiet seasons. It is where your faith grows roots. Anyone can believe when the fire of God is visible, but only the chosen can trust when his voice hides behind stillness. You were being trained to recognize his presence beyond feelings, beyond signs, beyond comfort. You were learning to walk not by sight, not even by sound, but by conviction. The silence of heaven is a classroom, not a courtroom. God wasn't judging you. He was teaching you. When heaven seems quiet, it's because God has already spoken, and now he's watching to see if you'll trust the word he gave last. The silence tests whether your faith depends on constant reassurance or on unshakable revelation. You see, silence is the language of maturity. Children need constant affirmation, but warriors must learn to march to unseen commands. You were being shaped into someone who no longer panics in the pause. You're being molded into a vessel that can stand firm even when heaven whispers instead of shouts. In that stillness, you learned to listen differently. You began to hear God not in thunder, but in the subtle rhythm of your own breath. You began to sense him in moments too quiet for words, in the warmth that touched your heart when you wanted to give up, in the peace that wrapped around you when logic said you should have broken. He was there all along, hidden in the spaces between your thoughts, weaving assurance through your tears. As spoken through the prophet Elijah in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. That gentle whisper, soft but undeniable, is what guided you through the night. The fire, the noise, the chaos may have passed, but his whisper remained steady. That's how you knew you weren't abandoned. God's voice doesn't always arrive in spectacle. It often settles in subtlety, and only those who have learned stillness can recognize it. Through the silence, He was showing you how to stand on your own spiritual feet. He was teaching you to trust his heart when his hand seemed hidden. He was forming in you the rare kind of faith that doesn't collapse under uncertainty. What others call distance, heaven calls depth. Many people mistake silence for the absence of God because they have never been taught how to rest in mystery. But you, chosen one, were called to walk deeper. You discovered that his silence wasn't empty. It was filled with meaning, waiting for you to lean in. You learned to stop demanding answers and start developing intimacy. Because once you know his nature, you don't need constant proof of his presence. Now, you can look back and see it clearly. The quiet season was never wasted. It was the bridge between who you were and who you're becoming. It stripped away noise until only your spirit and his spirit could speak. You no longer chase signs, you carry peace. You no longer beg for confirmation, you walk with conviction. When heaven went quiet, God was revealing something louder than words. Your maturity, your endurance, your trust. He was proving that even without visible evidence, you would still choose him. That's what makes you chosen. Not your perfection, not your performance, but your persistence in silence. So, don't resent the quiet. Honor it. It is proof that heaven trusts you with growth that only stillness can bring. The same God who was silent is about to speak again. But this time, his voice will not just comfort you, it will commission you. Because you listened in the silence, you are now ready to be sent with sound. But the silence was never your enemy. It was your sanctuary. In that stillness, heaven rewrote your identity. What once felt like absence has become assurance, and now, every quiet moment reminds you that God's nearness doesn't always need noise. So when the world grows quiet again, don't fear it, lean into it. That same silence that once frightened you now fuels you. It's in the calm that revelation forms, in the hush that strength returns, and in stillness that victory breathes your name. There came a moment when everything inside you wanted to give up. The weight was too much, the waiting too long, the silence too heavy. You whispered, "God, I can't do this anymore." But even then, when your strength failed, grace spoke louder. Heaven didn't rebuke your weakness. It embraced it. That breaking point you feared was not your end. It was your threshold. The place where human strength collapses is the exact ground where divine power begins to rise. You see, sometimes God lets you reach the edge so you can learn to lean. You thought you were falling apart, but heaven was helping you fall into alignment. The moment you felt like breaking was the same moment the foundation was shifting beneath you. Pain wasn't your enemy. It was your passage. God used it to push you into purpose, to strip away what could not survive your next chapter. Every chosen one has a breaking point before breakthrough. That is the spiritual law of transformation. Like the seed that must crack before life emerges, your breaking was the birthing. The tears you shed watered your future. The prayers that trembled through your lips built the bridge to your destiny. You didn't fall apart. You fell into place. The moment you said, "I can't," heaven whispered, "Now I can." God doesn't need your perfection. He only asks for your permission. And when you surrendered, when you laid everything down, you gave him room to rebuild you stronger. The parts of you that once wavered are now anchored in grace. What once broke you now blesses you. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That verse is more than comfort. It's confirmation. It means that every time your heart shattered, heaven came closer. The pain that made you question, God actually drew him near. The breaking point didn't expose your weakness. It revealed his presence. You're not the same person you were before the pain. You have become a vessel that carries glory through cracks. And now, because you didn't quit, heaven is ready to release. You are standing at the edge of breakthrough, and everything you lost is aligning to return in divine measure. Your story won't end in sorrow. It will echo in victory. But remember, every victory story begins with a decision to stay faithful when it hurts, to keep believing when you can't see, to keep walking when your legs shake. You did that. You held on. If these words reach you right now, let them rest gently in your heart. Take a deep breath. Feel it. Peace is returning. Hope is rising again. The pain that once felt endless has become the soil of your strength. You are proof that brokenness is not the opposite of blessing. It is the birthplace of it. And as this message finds you, I want to speak sincerely from the heart. If this message has touched your spirit, help the flame continue. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just clicking buttons. You are breathing air into a living fire. Every share becomes a wing that carries light into someone else's night. And if you ever feel led to donate, let it be a whisper between you and heaven, not an obligation. Think of it as planting a quiet seed in God's garden. A seed that one day blooms into hope for a soul you may never meet. You are not paying for words. You are partnering in healing. You are helping divine truth reach hearts still trembling in the dark. Your kindness is a ripple. Your generosity is a spark. Your small act of giving is a drop of oil that keeps the lamp of light from going out in someone else's night. There is no demand here, only invitation. You have already given something priceless, your attention, your presence, your heart. But if you choose to give more, let it be an overflow of gratitude, a love offering that says, God, use me as part of the light. Chosen one, you are not empty. Even after everything, your heart still gives, still believes, beats for something greater. That generosity is evidence of your divine nature. You give not because you owe, but because you overflow. And so, as heaven looks upon you now, know this truth. Your breaking point was never your limit. It was your launch. The same tears that once burned your face are the waters that now make your faith bloom. You didn't lose. You learned. You didn't die there. You were reborn there. Your story is far from finished. The world hasn't seen your brightest chapter yet, and when it unfolds, they'll know. It wasn't luck, it was God. It wasn't the end, it was elevation. You can feel it, the shift. Something deep in your spirit has started to move again. It's subtle, like the first tremor before dawn breaks. The heaviness that once sat on your chest has begun to lift. You don't even fully understand why, but peace has started to breathe through the cracks. That's not coincidence. That's prophecy unfolding. Heaven is beginning to reverse every word that was spoken against you. The tide that was once against you is now turning in your favor. For so long, lies surrounded your name. People formed opinions from fragments, from rumors, from moments they never understood. They thought the delay meant denial, the struggle meant sin, the silence meant surrender. But they didn't see what heaven was doing in secret. God was not ignoring you. He was investigating every injustice that touched your life. Every tear you shed became evidence in the courts of heaven. Every false word spoken about you was recorded. And now the verdict is being written. What they said would destroy you has become the very platform that will elevate you. What they whispered in darkness will now serve as the backdrop for your testimony. You are entering the season of prophetic reversal, where the last become first, the broken become blessed, the forgotten become favored. Heaven is not only clearing your name, it's rewriting your narrative. As spoken in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 1. On the very day the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, the opposite happened, and the Jews got the upper hand over those who hated them. This is your moment of reversal. The opposite of what they expected will occur. Every accusation will collapse under truth. Every weapon formed against you will malfunction in the presence of divine justice. You will not need to fight this one. God is already at work behind the scenes. What was meant to humiliate you will soon honor you. Chosen one, you have endured long enough. You've walked through nights where your reputation was bruised, where your name was dragged through the mud of misunderstanding. But heaven saw it all. God allowed it, not to shame you, but to shape you into someone unoffendable, unbreakable, unshakable. You no longer respond to noise. You stand anchored in truth. The season you're entering will reveal that the delay was divine design. The pain had purpose. Every no from man became a yes from God in disguise. You will not need to announce your vindication. Heaven will do it for you. The same mouths that spoke against you will testify for you when they see the evidence of God's favor resting on your life. You are not returning to prove a point. You are rising to fulfill a promise. The tables are turning, not through revenge, but through revelation. God is showing the world who you truly are, and He's doing it so quietly, so gracefully, that no one can claim credit but Him. This is not payback, it's positioning. You are being set where you belong, not as an act of pride, but as a display of purpose. And when it happens, remember this: your victory is not meant to humiliate anyone. It's meant to glorify God. Those who misunderstood you will be reminded that grace has the final word. And now, in this holy moment, do something symbolic. Type 888 in the comments. It's not just a number, it's a prophetic symbol of new beginnings and divine restoration. When you write it, you are saying to heaven, I receive my reversal. I release the past. I'm ready for the new. Let that simple act become your agreement with what heaven is already declaring. You've cried enough. You've proven enough. You've waited long enough. Now it's time to receive. Every wrong is being made right. Every closed door that was meant to block you will now open to bless you. The same story they used to shame you will soon be the one that inspires them. You're not fighting for victory anymore. You're standing in it. The verdict has been given, the tables have turned, and heaven is smiling over you. This is your divine reversal. Type 888, not as a number, but as a declaration. When your fingers write it, you're saying, I trust the turning. You're stepping into divine reversal with faith as your signature. It's a whisper to heaven that says, I'm done surviving. I'm ready to rise in grace. Each 8 curves like eternity itself, symbolizing renewal without end. By typing it, you align your spirit with heaven's rhythm of restoration. It's a quiet covenant, a prophetic act of release, letting go of what broke you and embracing what now builds you. 888 means your story begins again, stronger, brighter, redeemed. They watch you now in quiet confusion. The same ones who once whispered that you were finished are struggling to understand how you're still standing. They saw the storms hit you. They saw the weight you carried. They saw the silence that surrounded your life, and they concluded you had lost. But now they see something they can't explain. Light where there should have been ashes. Peace where there should have been despair. Strength where there should have been nothing left. You have become a living contradiction to their predictions. Every assumption that was spoken over you is being rewritten by evidence. The same mouths that said you'd never recover are left speechless by the calmness you now carry. What they don't realize is that your peace is not denial. It's proof that you've been with God. You didn't rise through effort. You rose through grace. You didn't survive by chance. You were sustained by divine intention. The confusion of your enemies is not a coincidence. It's a sign of your shift. They are witnessing the supernatural exchange, pain into power, rejection into refinement, struggle into strength. You are walking in what they can't comprehend because they never saw the preparation. They only saw the silence, not the shaping. They saw your tears, not your training. As declared in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." That verse has become your reality. You didn't fight back, and still, you won. You didn't chase validation, and still, you were vindicated. God did what no argument could accomplish. He made your peace louder than your defense. They can't understand how someone they counted out now walks in such quiet authority. But the truth is simple. You stopped trying to prove and started allowing God to move. Their confusion is part of your confirmation. So every time they wonder, how did they make it? Heaven whispers, because I kept them. You didn't just survive what they thought would end you. You were transformed by it. The fire that was meant to burn you became the forge that formed you. You carry no bitterness, no need to explain, just a steady strength that speaks for itself. And while they look for logic, they find no explanation. Because what's happening to you is not natural, it's divine. You are walking in a peace that doesn't make sense, a restoration that no one predicted, a blessing that no one can take credit for. This is the kind of victory that humbles, not humiliates. It doesn't boast, it breathes gratitude. You no longer need to tell your side of the story. God is telling it through your life. Every open door, every new opportunity, every blessing that appears without your striving is heaven's way of saying, "Watch what I can do with the one you overlooked." You are now the living proof that divine timing always redeems human misunderstanding. And it's not just that your enemies see it, others do too. Those who once pitied you now look to you for wisdom. Those who once doubted your faith now ask how you stayed faithful. The same story that was once a source of shame has become your sermon. You don't have to raise your voice. Your peace preaches for you. Chosen one. This is what it looks like when God turns defense into demonstration. You are no longer trying to make anyone believe. You've entered a higher rhythm. The rhythm of resting in victory. The ones who thought they ended your story are realizing they only turned the page. You are walking into new chapters they were never meant to read. Every eye that once watched to see you fall will now witness your rising. Not because you want revenge, but because God wants revelation. Through you, they will see what divine mercy looks like in motion. You are not here to shame anyone. You are here to show them that grace wins battles. Silence never could. The more they question, the more peace you find, because confusion around you means clarity within you. The more they doubt, the more God displays. This is your harvest season, the visible evidence of invisible endurance. Every unseen prayer has become tangible favor. Every quiet yes to God has produced fruit that no one can deny. You don't owe explanations. You owe praise, because everything that once broke you has now bowed before you. You didn't have to expose anyone. Truth exposed itself through your transformation. You are not a mystery to yourself anymore. You understand that everything worked together for good. So walk with quiet confidence. Let them watch. Let them wonder. For every question they have, your peace will be the answer. What they meant for evil has already turned to good. What they thought would bury you has become your garden. And what they once pitied, they now respect, because no one can argue with evidence. There comes a time when heaven no longer hides you but begins to crown you. It doesn't happen suddenly with noise or spectacle. It happens quietly, like dawn breaking over a long night. You begin to sense that something has shifted in the spiritual realm. The air feels different, the weight on your shoulders lighter, and the vision in your heart clearer. This is what it means to walk under the mantle of vindication, a divine covering of honor, authority, and restoration. Vindication doesn't begin with applause. It begins with recognition from heaven. Long before people see it, God declares it. While others are still whispering your past, heaven is already announcing your future. The crown that now rests on you is not made of gold, but of endurance. It is forged in silence, patience, and faith. Every hardship that once humiliated you has become part of your garment of glory. You didn't earn this mantle through status. You inherited it through suffering. You carried burdens that would have crushed ordinary hearts, yet you kept moving. You chose forgiveness instead of revenge, prayer instead of bitterness, obedience instead of escape. And now, heaven is clothing you with the authority of the overcomer. You are not just surviving anymore. You are reigning in the very territory where you once wept. As revealed in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. That promise has taken root in your life. The ashes of your past are no longer reminders of loss. They are the soil from which new beauty grows. God has exchanged your tears for oil, your heaviness for praise, your silence for song. The mantle of vindication doesn't just restore what was stolen, it restores who you are. You no longer define yourself by pain, but by purpose. Vindication doesn't mean revenge. It means validation of truth. It's heaven's way of saying, I saw it all, and I am not unjust. For every misunderstanding, God releases understanding. For every false word, He ceases revelation. The very places where you were discredited will now become the stages of your calling. Where you were once ignored, you will be invited. Where you were overlooked, you will be honored. But with this mantle comes weight. Vindication is not a victory parade. It's a responsibility. It's a call to carry yourself differently, to walk humbly even when you've been exalted. You must wear your new authority with grace, not pride. Because the same God who lifts you will also sustain you. The mantle is not given to boast, it's given to bless. You will notice that doors begin to open without effort. Conversations that once shut down will now flow in your favor. Those who once doubted you will now request your wisdom. But don't let your heart be tempted by ego. Stay anchored. Remember how God trained you in silence, how He taught you to wait, how He shaped you when no one was watching. That same humility is the crown's foundation. Vindication is not loud, it's luminous. It glows from within. You won't need to announce what God is doing. It will be evident in how you move, how you speak, how you love. People will see the peace on your face and know that heaven has touched your story. Your calm will preach louder than any sermon. Your forgiveness will confuse those who expected anger. That is the mark of one crowned by grace. You'll find that the places that once wounded you no longer have power over you. The names, the words, the memories. They lose their sting because you now understand they were necessary. Without them, there would be no oil on your head, no fire in your eyes, no wisdom in your voice. Every pain you endured became the raw material of your authority. Chosen one, God didn't vindicate you to prove others wrong. He vindicated you to prove Himself faithful. He wanted the world to see that His promises are not myths. They are living realities. Your life has become a testimony of divine timing and justice. You are now walking evidence that those who wait on the Lord never wait in vain. And so, wear your mantle with gratitude. Walk with quiet dignity. Let your victories be gentle and your heart remain soft. The same God who crowned you today is still working in others tomorrow. You are not above anyone. You are simply further along in surrender. Keep your eyes on heaven, for your crown came from there, and your purpose still leads you there. The fire came for you, and for a while it seemed as though it would win. Everything familiar began to burn: plans, relationships, confidence, comfort. You stood in the middle of it, watching pieces of your life crumble into smoke. You didn't understand why God allowed the flames to touch what you loved most. It felt unfair, cruel even. But what you couldn't see then was that the fire was never meant to consume you. It was sent to clarify you. Every chosen vessel must walk through fire before it can carry glory. Fire tests what cannot be faked. It separates the real from the temporary, the pure from the polluted. You cried out, "Why, God?" But heaven whispered, "Because I trust you with refinement." What others call loss, heaven calls purification. The fire you survived was not random, it was righteous. It exposed motives, burned away illusions, and purified the gold of your character. The moments that almost broke you were actually shaping you into someone unshakable. You emerged lighter, not because you escaped the flames, but because everything that couldn't go with you burned away. As spoken through the prophet Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9, "I will put this third into the fire. I will refine them as silver is refined, and test them as gold is tested. They will call upon my name, and I will answer them." That is exactly what happened. The fire refined your prayers. It burned out the need for performance and taught you authenticity. It taught you how to pray from truth, not fear, from surrender, not desperation. The heat you hated was the process that unlocked your spiritual authority. When the flames surrounded you, you didn't realize you were being transformed. The fire didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It revealed the warrior beneath the wounds, the faith beneath the fear, the promise beneath the pressure. The same situation that others thought would bury you became the furnace where your spirit learned to glow. Look at yourself now. You carry the scent of smoke, but not the mark of destruction. That's what happens when God is in the fire with you. Just as he was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he was with you. The flames bowed to his presence. The same fire that should have consumed you ended up consuming your chains instead. Now, when people look at you, they see peace where there once was panic. They see grace where there once was grief. You don't talk the same, you don't move the same. You carry quiet authority because those who've walked through fire carry weight in their words. You don't speak from theory anymore. You speak from testimony. Every trial refined your anointing. Every disappointment deepened your dependence. You are no longer moved by surface storms because you've already walked through infernos and found God faithful in the middle of them. You learned that his protection doesn't always mean escape. Sometimes it means endurance. And now, fire no longer frightens you. It fuels you. You understand that pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Every time the heat rises, you remember, the last time it came for me, I came out shining. What once terrified you now testifies for you. So today, let this truth settle deeply. You are not a victim of fire. You are a product of refinement. The same fire that tested you also trusted you. It didn't come to prove your weakness, but to reveal your worth. If this word burns inside you with truth, type, "I'm refined," in the comments. Do it as your declaration that the fire did not win. You did. Let those words remind both heaven and yourself that you are not who you were before the flames. You carry the glow of someone who has seen God in the heat and lived to tell the story. The fire was never your enemy. It was your encounter. It didn't scar you. It sealed you. You are proof that sometimes God's mercy looks like fire, and his favor feels like heat. And when people see your shine now, they will not know the flames it took to make you gleam. Type, "I'm refined." These two words are more than a comment. They're a covenant. When you write them, you're declaring that the flames didn't finish you, they fashioned you. You're saying, "I carry proof of the fire, not pain. I carry power." It's your personal seal of transformation. Let that phrase become your anthem. Each time you see those words, remember, you didn't escape the heat. You emerged from it shining. I'm refined means your scars have turned into strength, your ashes into authority. It's not just testimony. It's triumph written in flame and faith combined. There's a sound in the spirit, a trumpet not of war, but of recognition. Heaven has called your name aloud. The season of obscurity has ended, and the divine spotlight now rests gently upon you. You don't need to chase attention. Attention will find you because of the light you carry. The same light that once made you misunderstood is now what makes you unforgettable. Heaven is amplifying your voice, not for fame, but for impact. What was once whispered in private prayers is about to echo in public places. You didn't climb ladders. You were lifted by grace. This is not promotion through performance. It's elevation through purpose. Every unseen hour, every hidden battle, every quiet surrender was heaven's preparation for this unveiling moment. God has a way of remembering the overlooked. The world may measure value by visibility, but heaven measures it by obedience. And because you obeyed in silence, God is now rewarding you in sound. You are stepping into divine recognition, the moment when what was invisible becomes undeniable, as spoken in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6. Your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you openly. This is that reward. You didn't beg for it, you grew into it. It's the natural consequence of your hidden faithfulness. Every time you chose humility over hype, truth over trends, compassion over comfort, heaven took note. And now, that record is manifesting as favor. You'll notice it in small ways first. A conversation that opens doors. A stranger who carries your name in prayer. A sudden opportunity that feels too perfectly timed to be coincidence. These are not accidents, appointments. Heaven's trumpet is sounding quietly, drawing attention to you for reasons far greater than you. You're being recognized, not for what you've built, but for what you've become. But this recognition is not about spotlight, it's about stewardship. You are being trusted with visibility because God knows you won't waste it on ego. You will use it to reflect light, not absorb it. The higher He lifts you, the more you'll bend in gratitude, and that humility will protect your crown. Now that your name begins to rise, remember where you started. Dust, tears, silence, surrender. Those were your foundations, and they remain your roots. The moment you forget them, the light that lifted you could become the weight that crushes you. But you won't forget because your memory is mercy. You remember who kept you when you had nothing, and that remembrance keeps you grounded. And as this message reaches your heart, I want to speak to you gently, sincerely. If these words have resonated, if they've reminded you of your purpose or comforted your soul, consider helping the light reach further. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just engaging. You're planting candles in someone else's darkness. Each action is a ripple that travels farther than you think. Somewhere, a heart might be trembling tonight, waiting for the same word that just reached you. Your simple gesture could be the bridge that carries hope to them. And if you ever feel led to donate, let it not be out of pressure, but out of participation. Think of it as pouring a drop of oil into the lamp that keeps this light burning for others. Every contribution becomes a spark that travels beyond screens and cities, touching souls you may never meet. It's not payment, it's partnership in healing. Your giving is like wind beneath a flame. It doesn't change the fire's source, but it helps the light travel further. Whether it's a prayer, a share, or a gift, what matters most is the love behind it. When love fuels giving, it's no longer a transaction, it's transformation. There is beauty in voluntary generosity. It mirrors God's heart. He gives freely, expecting nothing in return, and yet His giving sustains the world. So, if you choose to give, do it as an act of gratitude. Let your support become your thank you to God for the peace and restoration He's poured into your life. Chosen one, this trumpet of recognition isn't just heaven acknowledging you. It's heaven trusting you. You are being positioned where your presence will heal, where your words will carry weight, where your compassion will open doors no talent could unlock. You are stepping into divine remembrance. And as you rise, rise gently. Carry the same spirit that once cried in the dark. Let it now shine in the light. Because the higher God lifts you, the more people will see not you, but Him reflected through you. That is true recognition, not fame, but faith made visible. There is a certain stillness that comes when you finally step into the place prepared for you. It's not loud, not dramatic, but deeply peaceful. After the storms, after the silence, after the fire. This is what it feels like to stand in the middle of fulfillment. You are not striving anymore. You are simply walking in what was always meant to be. You are the undeniable one. Not because you demanded recognition, but because your endurance has made your existence impossible to ignore. There are moments in life when proof no longer needs to be spoken. You've reached that moment. The evidence of your transformation surrounds you. In the way you carry yourself, in the calm that follows you, in the wisdom that colors your words. People may not understand how you got here, but even they can sense that something holy happened along the way. You are no longer explaining what God is doing. You are embodying it. Every breath you take now echoes purpose. The places that once rejected you now respect you. The voices that once doubted you now echo your strength. You've become a walking testimony that time and pain, when surrendered to God, produce something eternal. As declared in the book of Psalms, chapter 40, verse 2. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. That verse describes your journey perfectly. You didn't climb here through strategy. You were lifted here by mercy. The same mud that once held you down has become the proof of how high you've risen. Every scar now glows as a mark of survival. Every struggle has become a stone beneath your feet. You no longer dread the memory of pain because it's been transformed into praise. This new season is not just about success, it's about solidity. You're not chasing blessings anymore. You're walking as one. The ground beneath you feels different because it's no longer uncertain. What was once shaky has become sacred. You now move with quiet authority because you've learned that peace is the loudest power of all. And with that authority comes responsibility. The undeniable are not crowned for comfort. They are commissioned for influence. You are not here to boast about a rival. You are here to build bridges for others still walking through storms. The wisdom you carry was bought with tears, and now it becomes shelter for the weary. There will be those who come to you, drawn not by your achievements, but by your authenticity. They will sense that you've touched both suffering and glory, that you've walked through hell but still radiate heaven. And when they ask how you made it, you won't need to impress them. You'll simply tell the truth. I stayed with God when nothing made sense. That sentence alone will heal more hearts than 1,000 sermons, because people don't need perfection. They need proof that brokenness can still be holy. You are that proof. You are living evidence that a surrendered life can survive anything. Being undeniable doesn't mean being untouchable. It means you remain tender even when you're strong. It means you can stand tall without looking down on anyone. It means you remember the nights you had nothing but faith to feed you. That humility keeps your light pure, because the moment pride enters, the shine fades. But gratitude keeps it glowing forever. In this new place, you don't rush. You no longer chase timing. You flow with it. You've learned that what belongs to you will never require you to beg. Divine alignment has its own gravity. It pulls you toward what's meant for you, effortlessly. You just have to stay surrendered, stay listening, stay real. Chosen one, this is the beauty of being undeniable. It's not about being seen, it's about being steady. You're not trying to prove anymore, you're learning to rest. You're no longer building from fear, you're creating from fullness. And that fullness is what others will feel when they encounter you. Heaven smiles when you walk in this quiet confidence. The battle-tested have a certain fragrance, the scent of peace mixed with perseverance. It's the aroma of someone who has met God in the valley and still worships on the mountain. You carry that now. It's the proof that your faith was not for nothing. So, walk in this stillness. Speak with this calm. Let your life do the explaining. You are not striving anymore. You are shining. You are not trying to convince the world that you belong. The world already knows. You are undeniable because heaven has decided it so. And once heaven speaks, no man can unwrite it. There's a rhythm to restoration, a steady, divine heartbeat that brings back everything you thought was gone for good. You can feel it now, pulsing through your spirit, like the return of rain to a dry land. Every year you lost, every opportunity that slipped through your hands, every dream that felt delayed. Heaven has not forgotten any of it. The season of divine compensation has arrived. This is not random favor. It is measured mercy. God remembers the years that pain consumed and the seasons when silence suffocated. He counts the tears you thought were wasted and transforms them into currency for blessing. Heaven does not overlook obedience. It records it, multiplies it, and returns it in ways far beyond your imagination. There were moments when you thought your faith was useless. You prayed and saw no fruit. You served and received no recognition. But what you didn't realize was that God was storing it. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every quiet surrender. And now the vault of heaven is opening. Blessings that were delayed are not denied. They are simply arriving on time. According to what is written in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. This isn't poetic language. It's prophecy fulfilled. God doesn't just restore things. He restores time. He takes what you thought was lost forever and compresses His favor into your present moment. He can do in 1 year what pain tried to steal in 10. He can cause joy to grow in places where sorrow once lived. Chosen one, you are entering the era where everything starts to make sense. The pain you endured now becomes the foundation of purpose. The seasons of lack become the soil of abundance. You will soon look back and realize that nothing was wasted, not even the heartbreak. Compensation doesn't always come in the form you expect. Sometimes God returns it as peace, sometimes as people, sometimes as purpose. You may not get back the exact thing you lost, but you'll receive what your soul truly needed. You'll see that what you thought you wanted could never compare to what God was preparing. This restoration is personal. Heaven knows the details. Every loss, every injustice, every sleepless night has been accounted for. You were never forgotten, just preserved for the right moment. God wasn't ignoring you. He was calculating the interest on your endurance. And now, it's time for the harvest of faithfulness. When divine compensation arrives, it won't come with noise. It will come with peace. The same places that broke you will suddenly bloom around you. The same people who overlooked you will witness your renewal and wonder how it happened. But you'll know, this isn't revenge, it's redemption. And right here, in this sacred moment, heaven asks for your agreement. Type 9999 in the comments. It's not just a number. It's a prophetic symbol of complete restoration, multiplied grace, and the end of old cycles. When you write it, you're declaring, I receive the restoration heaven has assigned to me. Each 9 curves like a spiral of rebirth, a cycle closing and another beginning. It's your way of saying, The old season is over, and I am ready for the fullness of what's next. The comment becomes your covenant, your yes to divine timing. Everything that once drained you will now feed you. Every place that once wounded you will now welcome you. You are walking into a time where repayment will not just meet you, it will overwhelm you. You will wake up one day and realize that what you lost has not only returned but has multiplied. You are proof that endurance is never wasted. What left your life unfairly is being returned righteously. The same God who saw you empty is now filling your cup again, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. This is your compensation season, chosen one. Heaven is not paying you back, it's lifting you higher. Type 9999, 4 nines that mark the close of suffering's chapter in the opening of restoration's page. When you type it, you're whispering to heaven, I receive it. I am ready. It's a soft agreement, not shouted, but felt deep in your spirit. Each 9 bends like a door turning on its hinge, a cycle folding into completion. You are telling God, I've learned the lessons. I release the pain. I welcome the return. It's your gentle seal of faith, your signature on heaven's promise. So, type it as worship, not wish. You are not begging, you're believing. Every 9999 becomes a spark of gratitude, a symbol of surrender and readiness. It's your way of saying, I'm aligned with the new. There is a power that only those who have been through darkness can carry. A quiet, unshakable strength that cannot be learned in comfort. You have entered that power now. You walk differently, not because you are trying to prove anything, but because you finally understand who walks with you. The journey has carved into you a deeper awareness of divine authority. You are not the same. You carry the weight of one who knows that God's breath sustains every step. You've come to recognize that power is not about control. It's about clarity. It's the ability to stand still while the world trembles, to choose peace when chaos invites you to panic. This is the kind of power that doesn't shout, it doesn't boast. It simply is. It flows through your words, through your presence, through the still confidence that says, I know who sent me. There was a time when you sought validation, when you wanted others to confirm what heaven had already whispered. But that time is gone. You no longer chase approval because you've met assurance. You've realized that divine authority doesn't require explanation. It requires expression. The moment you accepted your calling, heaven placed an unseen crown upon your head, and from that moment, the atmosphere around you began to change. As spoken in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19. Behold, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions, and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. Those words are not distant. They are alive in you now. Authority is not something you reach for. It's something you carry because you are aligned. You've learned that spiritual power doesn't always look like thunder. It often looks like calm in the middle of chaos. When you speak peace, storms listen. When you pray, mountains shift quietly. The world may not see it, but heaven feels it every time you open your mouth. Your power was birthed in breaking. Every time life tried to silence you, heaven was sharpening your voice. Every time you thought you were losing, you were actually gaining depth. Power is not built on success, it's built on surrender. The moments that humbled you became the soil where true authority could grow. Because those who know pain also know compassion, and compassion is the language of divine strength. You now carry the kind of power that doesn't compete, it completes. When you enter a room, the atmosphere adjusts not because of arrogance, but because of alignment. You are walking proof that authority comes from abiding, not striving. You've learned that you don't have to force what is already yours. You simply move, and heaven moves with you. This power is gentle but unyielding. It carries mercy in one hand and justice in the other. It heals without drawing attention, restores without demanding recognition, and protects without needing to prove itself. That's what it means to walk in divine authority. You are a vessel through which heaven quietly enforces its will on earth. You have been entrusted with this power, not to elevate yourself, but to elevate others. The same God who poured strength into your weakness now asks you to pour courage into theirs. You were lifted so that you could lift. You were healed so that you could heal. Every word you speak carries a residue of resurrection because you've tasted it firsthand. Chosen one, this is your new posture. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer fear the unknown, you walk into it with confidence. Because you now know that the one who called you is also the one who goes before you. And when he moves, nothing can stand in the way. There will still be moments that test you, but now you see them differently. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening?" You ask, "What is heaven teaching me here?" That shift is the essence of maturity. It is what separates the chosen from the casual, the surrendered from the self-reliant. You have become a carrier of power, but also of peace. You are not merely surviving anymore. You are shaping the space around you. Every breath you take carries impact. Every prayer you whisper ripples through eternity. You are not ordinary, and you never were. You are walking in new power, heaven's power. The quiet kind, the real kind, the kind that doesn't fade when applause ends. Walk in it with humility, and the world will feel heaven's touch through you. For when the chosen walk, the ground remembers. Glory doesn't arrive like lightning. It spreads like dawn, softly at first, unnoticed by many, yet unmistakable to those who have been waiting in the dark. That's what's happening now. Heaven has released a shockwave of glory through your life. You may not see it in its fullness yet, but it's moving through every area touched by your obedience. What once felt ordinary is glowing with divine fingerprints. You've become a vessel of awakening, a spark that ignites transformation in those who cross your path. Glory isn't something you wear. It's something you release. It's not in your possessions or your accomplishments. It's in your presence. People will sense peace before you even speak, because what rests upon you is not mere confidence. It's consecration. Glory has a scent, a sound, a rhythm, and your life has begun to carry it. Every word you speak, every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness releases heaven's fragrance into the atmosphere. As written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 14, "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea." That verse is no longer distant prophecy. It's unfolding through lives like yours. You are part of that flood, a wave of living light moving quietly across the earth. You may think you're just one person, but heaven knows the ripple effect your obedience creates. Every time you choose faith over fear, light expands. Every time you show mercy when you could retaliate, heaven's reflection grows stronger through you. The glory that rests on you doesn't make you flawless, it makes you faithful. It doesn't make you untouchable, it makes you transparent. Because glory isn't about shining for yourself, it's about revealing Him. The more you surrender, the more visible God becomes through you. And that's why your story carries power. It's not just testimony, it's transformation in motion. There's a reason the enemy fought you so hard before this moment. He could sense the weight of glory being formed inside you. He knew that once you embraced who you are in God, every room you entered would shift. That's why the warfare was so intense, why the isolation lasted so long, because the oil that now flows through you was costly. You paid for it with tears, patience, and unwavering faith. Now that glory surrounds you, it moves differently than success. Success draws attention. Glory draws souls. It isn't flashy. It's healing. It doesn't entertain, it awakens. The people around you will begin to feel something when you speak, when you pray, when you simply stand silent, since they won't always be able to explain it, but they'll know peace has entered the room. That's glory at work. You are a living spark of divine radiance. But remember, glory is never owned, only carried. The moment pride touches it, it fades. But when humility guards it, it multiplies. That's why God chose you, because your heart stayed soft even when life tried to harden it. You learned to remain tender while being strong, quiet while being powerful. That balance makes you safe for His glory to dwell in. And as that glory spreads, it awakens others. Your testimony becomes a mirror showing them what's possible. Your joy gives them permission to hope again. You are not forcing anyone to believe. You are simply embodying belief. You don't have to preach for revival. You are revival. Every breath you take whispers, He is faithful. Every step you make tells the world, glory still walks among us. This is not about crowds or stages. It's about presence. The greatest ministry you carry is not your words. It's your being. You could sit in silence, and the air around you would still shift. Because you've become a portal of peace, a conduit of heaven's current. That is the shockwave. Heaven moving through human vessels willing to remain surrendered. You'll notice people drawn to you, not for what you have, but for what you host. Some won't even understand why, but their spirits will. They'll feel safe near you because your light doesn't blind. It warms. They'll trust your words because your life proves them. That's the difference between charisma and glory. Charisma impresses. Glory transforms. So, move gently in this season. Let your life stay uncluttered so the light can pass through clearly. Guard your peace, for it is the lamp that carries your flame. You don't need to announce this glory. Those meant to see it will find it. The light will speak for itself, as it always does. And when you feel it resting upon you, when stillness fills the air, when love feels almost tangible, just whisper thank you. Because this glory isn't borrowed, it's bestowed. You are living proof that God still chooses ordinary vessels to carry extraordinary light, and through you, the earth is being filled, quietly, steadily, beautifully, with the knowledge of His glory. It's time. The long circle of trial, silence, and fire has closed. The crown that once slipped from your grasp is returning, not of metal or jewels, but of meaning. You stand beneath heaven's gaze, not as the wounded, but as the restored. This is the return of the crown. For years, you carried your faith like a seed, buried, unseen, watered by tears. People thought the delay meant death, but God was growing roots. Now those roots have broken through the soil, and the evidence of your endurance is visible. You didn't chase the crown. The crown found its way back to you. Because what belongs to a chosen one can never truly be lost. It only waits for alignment. You see, the true crown isn't worn on the head, it's carried in the heart. It's the quiet assurance that no matter what you've been through, grace still reigns. The return of your crown isn't a ceremony. It's a realization. It's heaven whispering, you never stopped being royal. You just forgot your reflection for a while. As spoken in the second letter of Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. This moment is that day, not in eternity alone, but here and now, when heaven restores your dignity, your confidence, your peace. You are not being rewarded for perfection. You are being recognized for perseverance. You wore humility when pride was easier, kept believing when surrender seemed logical, kept giving when nothing returned. Heaven saw it all, and the crown is simply God's acknowledgement that you endured with grace. There's a sacred beauty in this kind of restoration. It doesn't shout, it shines. You'll feel it in how peace settles on your shoulders, in how joy returns without warning. You'll notice yourself smiling for no reason, because deep down your spirit knows, I made it. The crown returns not to glorify you, but to remind you of who you've always been: chosen, capable, cherished. It doesn't separate you from others, it connects you more deeply to them. Because the truly crowned don't look down, they lift others up. You've been restored not for recognition, but for reflection, to reflect the heart of the one who crowned you in the first place. And now, as this message reaches you, take a breath. Let gratitude fill the space where grief used to live. If these words stir something in your heart, don't rush past it. Let it breathe. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just reacting. You are building a bridge of light for someone still in their waiting seas. Each gesture becomes a ripple that carries comfort across unseen oceans. Somewhere, someone may find their courage because your simple action helped this word reach them. If you ever feel led to donate, let it be a soft yes from your heart, not a duty. Think of it as placing another jewel in heaven's crown, a contribution of gratitude, not obligation. You're not buying blessing. You're participating in beauty. You're helping the message of renewal and faith reach those still walking through ashes. Your kindness, whether a word, a share, a gift, or a single comment, becomes part of heaven's tapestry. So, if this message resonates, type, "My crown returns." In the comments, let it be your quiet anthem, your way of saying, I have endured, I have healed, I have risen. It isn't for attention. It's an act of gratitude. Every word you leave behind becomes a golden thread that might help another soul remember their own crown. This is not about giving to gain. It's about giving to glorify. When you give freely, you echo the heart of the King who gave everything. You become part of the very light that once guided you. You've worn many crowns in your journey, crowns of pain, patience, perseverance, but now you wear the one that lasts, peace. No one can take this from you. The world may still test you, but this time you'll smile, because you know that crowns tested by fire can never melt again. Chosen one, your rise is not loud, it's luminous. Every step now glows with grace. Walk gently, knowing that heaven has sealed your restoration. The return of the crown is not the end. It's the beginning of reign through humility, influence through kindness, and power through peace. And as you read these final lines of this chapter, may you remember, you were never uncrowned, you were only being polished for your return. And when heaven looks upon you now, it smiles. The circle is complete, the promise fulfilled. You are crowned not by circumstance, but by covenant. Proof that what is divine can never be destroyed, only delayed until the soul is ready to shine again. There was a time when you measured life by what you lost. Every breath felt like proof of survival, every sunrise a reluctant continuation. But look at you now. You no longer crawl through the days, you command them. You've crossed the invisible line between surviving and becoming. You are not the broken one who barely made it out. You are the blueprint heaven is using to show what endurance truly looks like. The shift didn't happen in an instant. It came in small, holy increments. The way strength quietly enters through surrender. The way clarity dawns only after tears. You were never meant to stay in recovery forever. You were meant to rise as revelation. God didn't just pull you out of the pit so you could breathe again. He set you apart so others could find the way through your footsteps. You used to think your scars disqualified you. Now you understand their credentials, proof that you've touched both pain and promise, that you've seen the dark and still chosen the light. Your very presence is a declaration that resurrection isn't a story. It's a pattern, repeating itself through anyone who refuses to give up. The ancient words recorded in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verse 9, declare, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. That isn't comfort, it's confirmation. It's the secret heaven hid in plain sight. That power is born from pressure. That weakness is the doorway to divine strength. You've spent years waiting for permission to shine, but heaven never asked you to wait. It told you to arise. You are no longer an example of endurance. You are the embodiment of excellence born from endurance. You carry a rare stillness now, one that doesn't shrink for anyone. It's not pride, it's proof. Proof that you've met God in the ruins and walked out radiant. People sense it when you enter a room. They can feel the story beneath your silence, the way you carry storms like badges, the way peace clings to you like fragrance. You don't need to explain anymore. The evidence speaks. From this point on, your life stops echoing, "I survived," and begins proclaiming, "I lead." You've become the standard for what transformation looks like when heaven writes the script. Others will look at you and see possibility where they once saw impossibility. Your strength will give them permission to hope again. But remember, being the standard doesn't mean perfection. It means living with open scars, healed but honest. It means walking in humility even when glory rests heavy on your shoulders. You are not a monument. You are a mirror. Every reflection of grace that flows through you points back to the one who rebuilt you from dust. You'll find that people are drawn to your story, not because it's dramatic, but because it's true. They will see themselves in your struggle and find courage in your restoration. That's why you went through it, not to suffer endlessly, but to show what faith looks like in motion. God trusted you with pain because he knew it would become power. You are a living standard now, a walking reference of what divine endurance produces. Your composure, your compassion, your wisdom. They are the fruit of every night you thought you wouldn't make it. You no longer chase peace, you carry it. You no longer wait for joy, it lives within you. And when people ask you how you did it, you'll simply smile and say, "Grace did it, because it did." Every invisible mercy, every whispered prayer, every unseen miracle stitched your heart back together until even heaven called you whole. You are not who you were. You've been tempered like steel, refined like gold, resurrected like dawn. You've gone from survivor to standard, not for applause, but for assignment. Your life now becomes the map for those still lost in their wilderness. Walk forward not as the one who barely escaped, but as the one who redefines escape itself. The storm made you strong, but grace made you steady. You are the standard now. The living proof that survival was never the goal, transformation was. You no longer wear your past as a wound. You wear it as wisdom. Every scar glows like scripture written on your skin. Reminders that grace doesn't erase history, it redeems it. You've become fluent in the language of overcoming, and every breath you take preaches silent sermons of survival turned to strength. Now, when heaven looks at you, it doesn't see what was lost. It sees what was learned. You are the living continuation of divine craftsmanship, proof that endurance refines more than gold. So, walk forward, steady and shining, for you are not recovering anymore. You are reigning in quiet, unbreakable grace. Heaven has been writing your story all along. Line by line, pain by purpose, silence by song. What looked like chaos was choreography. What looked like loss was layout. What felt like delay was divine precision. Every moment, every cry, every failure, every tiny act of faith has led to this revelation. You did not lose. You finally won. Victory for the chosen ones never looks like the world expects. It isn't loud or theatrical. It's still certain, complete. It happens in the heart before it happens in the world. Your victory began the moment you refused to stop believing. When you chose faith instead of fear, endurance instead of escape, forgiveness instead of risk, you won. Heaven marked it. The outcome was decided before the applause. The world may never understand the kind of victory you carry. To them, success means rising fast, shining bright, standing tall. But your triumph came differently. It came in silence, in slow healing, in learning how to breathe again after every fall. Your win wasn't about conquering others. It was about conquering doubt. You didn't climb a ladder. You became one. Others will rise by stepping on the strength your story provides. There is no crown without a cross, no dawn without a night, and you, chosen one, have lived both. You've known what it is to be misunderstood, abandoned, exhausted, and yet still look toward heaven with the smallest, most defiant kind of hope. That's what heaven calls victory, the kind that doesn't collapse under pressure, the kind that stands up one more time when the body says no, but the spirit whispers yes. As written in the first letter of John, chapter 5, verse 4, "For everyone born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith." That is your verse come alive. Faith was your sword, hope your armor, love your anthem. While others measured progress by possessions, you measured it by peace. You learned that winning isn't about getting everything. It's about losing what was never meant for you and keeping what can't be taken. Your victory doesn't erase the pain, it redeems it. The scars remain, but they no longer ache. They glow. Every memory that once broke you now bows before your strength. The story that once shamed you now shines through you. You've become living proof that God doesn't waste anything. Not a wound, not a whisper, not a single tear. You thought victory would feel noise, but it feels like clarity. You thought it would sound like celebration, but it sounds like stillness. Because true triumph is peace. Peace after war, peace after waiting, peace after wondering if any of it mattered. And now you know it did. Every part of it. You've stepped into a wholeness that cannot be undone. You carry joy without needing a reason, gratitude without needing a gift, purpose without needing a stage. You no longer chase signs. You are one. Every time you smile now, heaven smiles with you because it recognizes its own reflection in your eyes. Those who once doubted you will one day understand. Your journey was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving God right. The same God who whispered to your heart when you were breaking has fulfilled his promise in full. You are walking in the evidence of his faithfulness. And yet, this victory isn't the finish line. It's the foundation. You've become the living definition of overcomer. You no longer live from pain, but from purpose. You are no longer the stormed. You are the steady. No longer the chased. You are the chosen. The wilderness has no claim on you now. It has become your witness. You will still face challenges, but they won't shake you. You've seen too much of God's mercy to ever fear man's opinion again. You've walked through too much darkness to ever doubt the dawn. You've learned the sacred rhythm of resilience, the heartbeat of a survivor turned standard, a warrior turned witness. Now, as heaven seals this chapter, understand this truth: your story is not ending. It is echoing. The sound of your victory travels farther than you'll ever know. It moves through timelines, through families, through generations. Every prayer you prayed in tears has become a seed of triumph in someone else's soil. You have become what heaven intended: a standard, a sign, a song. Your voice may tremble, but your faith does not. Your steps may be quiet, but they shake the unseen. You walk now not in recovery, but in reign. You have found the rhythm of grace that can't be imitated or interrupted. This is what it means when God says you've won. It's not about the trophies. It's about transformation. It's not about being noticed. It's about being known by heaven. You are not waiting for victory. You are walking in it. Every breath you take now declares what heaven has already decided. You did not lose. God says you finally won. And now, chosen one, The journey rests. 17 chapters of fire, silence, refinement, and resurrection have led here to peace. The words have ended, but the story continues in you. Every breath you take after this moment becomes another verse in heaven's unfolding poem. You are the living continuation of everything written here. If these words have touched you, let them keep flowing. When you like, share, and subscribe, you're not just reacting. You're releasing light further into the world. Every click becomes a candle, every share a ripple of hope, reaching hearts still wandering in their wilderness. Somewhere, someone waits for the same truth that found you tonight. And if your heart ever feels moved to donate, let it be quiet, sacred, voluntary. Think of it as planting a small seed into divine soil, a gesture of gratitude that helps this light find new ground. It's not payment, it's partnership. Your kindness keeps the message alive so that others may also rise, heal, and remember who they are. Before you go, pause here for one simple act. Type, "I rise again," in the comments. Not as a routine, but as your personal signature of faith. You're saying, "I'm still here, still believing, still becoming." It's your echo of everything heaven has whispered through these chapters. Thank you for walking this path, for listening with your spirit, for being the reason heaven still speaks. Every word you've read has been a mirror. Now the reflection belongs to you. Carry it gently, live it boldly. And as you go, remember, this isn't goodbye. It's a continuation of light, moving from page to soul, from message to mission. Your victory lives on.